wonderful friends with me here tonight, and we are going to start a series, actually a relationship series, and it's going to be based on the story of Ruth and Boaz from the Bible. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my friend. This is Quinta.
Hi.
And this is Derek. Alright, so we are going to not waste time and we're going to get started. So before we delve into any of the questions, I'm going to go ahead and just summarize the story of Ruth and how she met Boaz. So if you read Ruth chapter 2, and I'll advise you take your Bible or your tablet or phone and look up Ruth chapter 2. That way you'll be able to follow along with what I'm saying. So in the Bible, Ruth was married to Naomi's son. So the son passed away. So when he passed away, Naomi wanted to leave the foreign country that Ruth lived in with another lady called Orpah. So Orpah left. Orpah decided to go her own way, but Ruth decided to leave with Naomi. So she followed Naomi all the way back to Naomi's hometown. And when they went there, instead of Ruth, staying at home and, not doing anything, she decided to go out and find work in the fields. So that's what she went out there to do. And in the process of her working in the fields, she met Boaz, who happened to be a relative of Naomi. And meeting him led to so many amazing things happen. Of course, they ended up getting married. So this is what the series is based on, finding your Boaz and being at the right place at the right time for God to send the right man to you. So that is what this series is about. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and I wrote some questions down just to help things flow and we don't get out of topic. So let's get started. So for the first question I'm going to throw out there is, are you currently in a relationship or have you been in a relationship? Yeah.
Currently not. I'm not, but I am talking to somebody and getting to know somebody. So,
Currently, I'm also talking to somebody. So that is my own. Derek?
Currently in a relationship.
All right. So for the next question is, what advice will you give to those who are single and looking to find someone? Okay, so I believe that God does work in the process of binding two people together, of uniting two people together. Okay, and I believe that it is possible for God to bring the right man or woman to you. You know what I mean? It's all about His will, His purpose, and the timing, of course. So what I would say to someone who is single and wants to be in a relationship is, number one, you have to know yourself. It's important for you to know yourself before getting involved in a relationship. It's important for you to have something going on for yourself before you get involved with somebody. Okay? You don't want to go into a relationship where you don't know yourself, because then you can get carried away, or you can end up being on a path that will take you away from where God is taking you. Because when you meet somebody, it's not just you're meeting somebody who has different thoughts, who has different opinions, who thinks differently from you, who sees things differently from you. And I'll give an example, okay? You meet somebody, you're a Christian, and then you meet someone who is, for an example, a non-Christian. And let's say, I've heard some women will make the comment, oh, it's okay, I'll compromise, you know what I mean? It's totally fine. Eventually, the other person will come and join my church, and we'll be fine and happy. And then later on, they get involved in that relationship, and then all these other issues start coming along, and they wonder where they went wrong. You know what I mean? And there's tons of examples. Everybody's story is different. But like, the thing is, you shouldn't go in the relationship with the mindset, I'm going to change that person. Okay? In the process, while you know yourself, if you know yourself, you know who you're meant to be with. Because you find somebody who's compatible to you. You know what I mean? You won't have to change who you are, and you won't have to change who they are. You guys will be compatible. So that is the advice I have for those who are single, and I feel like those are the things that are really, really important. You know what I mean? finding yourself, okay, and being on the right path. And I feel like with Ruth, she was on the right path. She was doing the right thing in the process. She met Boaz. So I feel like I'm talking too much. So you guys want to step in?
Yeah, well, just to add a little bit based on what you said about finding yourself, and I think it's very, very important because, you know, if you really don't know who you are, and then let's say you meet somebody else who they kind of like, you know, they know who they are, so you become so subject to that person that whatever that person is, you know, you feel like you have to absorb, or you feel like you have to combine with that person. But then when you know yourself, you have certain values, certain stance, you know, things that you can compromise, things that you know like you're not going to compromise, and those are very, very important. Those are your values, those are your guidelines, those are your boundaries. And it really does help, because those are some of the things too that it will help you to really shape, or, you know, keep you on the right track that you want to when you get to find yourself.
Yes. Yeah.
For me, just like the Quinta and Bev said, it's very important for you to know who you are and to know where you're going. Because at the end of the day, if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going, then somebody or anyone can give you a definition of who you are, of yourself, and they'll take you to a place where you necessarily don't want to go. So finding yourself is very important, and also knowing where you're going, and also knowing what you want. You know, because if you don't have a standard for what you want or what you're looking for in a partner, anything will come to you, and you fall for those things easily because you haven't defined what you want, and all those three go together. You have to know who you are, where you're going, and what you want. That's really key. If you don't know any of these, if you don't know one out of these three, or you don't even know any of these three, you probably shouldn't jump into a relationship.
That's true. That's true. And this leads to our third question: is how do you know he or she is the one?
When you start getting butterflies in your stomach.
No, actually. No, because then the butterflies can fade away, okay? When that person steps on your toe or does something, that could still be the right person for you, but they did something to make you angry. So that doesn't mean they're not the right person for you.
Or what if you can't sleep at night?
Don't mind him, okay?
I think at the end of the day, what we really, really want, and especially as Christian and as young, you know, Christians coming up, you know, we really, really want something that is being divinely appointed. So, and this means, like, you know, when it comes to relationship and really seeking a spouse, God has to be involved. And, you know, communication with God. And God will lead you, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we do have certain things that we want in a spouse, but at the end of the day, God alone knows what is, you know, what is fit and what is best for us. And we have to trust that. But I still believe that God himself, you know, wants to give us our heart desires. So it will be based on some of those things that you kind of, like those qualities that you're looking for. And I know that as long as you are working according to God's purpose, you will choose the right qualities in a spouse. And you also, once you meet that person, those are the qualities that you'll be able to identify. So, you know, those are some of the things that I would say might kind of help you narrow down to who is who when it comes to finding a spouse.
And just to add to what Quinta was saying, if you go back to Genesis and we look at how Adam met Eve for the first time. You know, the moment he looked at Eve, he just knew she was the one for him. Okay? Mind you, prior to that, Adam was just surrounded by all these animals and all these, you know, plants and trees and all that. And he knew he was not compatible with any of those stuff, you know, and he was lonely. So in the process that God took his rib and formed a woman for him. And looking at the woman, he just knew that she's the bone of his bone, the flesh of his flesh. He just knew. You know what I mean? They were compatible. They were right for each other when they met. So this brings this back to our day and age. Obviously, no one's ribs is being pulled out. But I feel like you would know You will know, because if you have been praying, that's one thing too, and one thing Quinta usually says that I like so much is that when you pray to God, tell him what you want. You know, don't pray one of those broad prayers. Oh Lord, you know, give me the man who you didn't fit. Those are important, but you also have to talk to, that's your father, you know. So you talking to him, you got to tell him what you want. Like, Father, Lord, this is what I want. And be specific when you pray. You know what I mean? When you go before the king, you got to tell him what you want. So you lay those before him, okay? You know yourself. So I feel like when you meet that right person for you, you will know. Why? Because it will just fit together perfectly. It's like a puzzle that has been missing and it's been put in place. You know what I mean? Everything will fall into place. There shouldn't be any chaotic sort of drama going on where you're dealing with some baby mamas, you're dealing with another girl, and the person's like, you're dealing with all kinds of stuff that just, even if it's a wonderful relationship, there's so many things going on that just muddle, you know, makes everything all muddy. God will not, I don't think God, when God is involved in something, everything falls into place. That I can testify to that. When God is involved in a situation, in a relationship, things fall into place naturally. You don't have to struggle. You don't have to try too hard. It just naturally happens. And that's what you're looking for. And I feel like when you meet the right person, things should just bam, 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 bam. No chaotic drama, none of that. Everything should just be smooth. And you guys will be also have the same mind that, okay, if you looking to settle, he is also looking to settle, or she, it will just be smooth. And you both will be able to move on together. You know what I mean? Without you feeling like you're forcing the person to do what they don't want to do, or you're trying to change the person's mindset. You know, you both should be equally yoked. You both should be in the same type of mind frame. So that's what I wanted to add.
And even sometimes, even though, you know, like you might go through some struggles or some, you know, headache and clash, but I feel like you will be able to have the strength to deal with every situation that it is before you, and you both will be able to work it out together. So it wouldn't be something that you're like, oh my God, how did I even find myself in this situation? Or I'm trying to, you know, change this person to be my boy,
ideal man or woman.
Like so
What was the question again?
Oh God. Okay, so the question is, how do you know he or she is the one?
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Yes, you may, Derek.
Okay, so we talked and, well, you guys were talking, I was kind of listening. I mean, Quinta jumped straight to spouse, and then you kind of went to that. So what happens in the in-between state, or are people not allowed to date, or that?
Well, dating or courting is the process where two individuals come together and they're trying to get to know each other. Okay? I don't see anything wrong with that, as long as, because you have to know what you want. That's where it all boils down to. What do you want? Okay? So while in your process of dating, you have to, there's some, you know, you have to have a certain rules, or, you know, certain boundaries that you don't want to cross. You know what I mean? So when you're out there dating, are you, you know, what kind of boundaries have you set? Yeah, what's your mindset? You know what I mean? Are you dating just for the sake of, I don't want to be alone and I need somebody in my life, you know, for the period of time? Or are you dating with the mindset that I want to settle down and I'm looking for something serious that is, you know, where we're both going to marry? So that's, I feel like it also boils down to your mindset as well.
So my other question would be, well, not questions. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, it might be a question. Sometimes we meet people, and I know people that have been in relationships that always said that God has to be involved, and that are two loving Christians that both love the Lord, and then at that moment, that was what, you know, felt in your spirit that was right, and then things haven't gone well for them, you know, because you both said that when God is in something, things go smoothly. I'm also of the mindset that sometimes too, God allow these things to happen to us so that we learn something out of it, to prepare us for when we meet our Boaz, or when we meet our Ruth, or we meet our Rebecca or Rachel. So for me, they're depends on how you look at it. So there are times where everything you see this person can be the ribs of your ribs and flesh of your flesh and bone of your bone. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then the person, something may happen where the person may not turn out to be that right person. Or, you know, the man may not turn out to be your knight in shining armor as you thought it was. Or the woman may not be, you know, your Esther or your Ruth or whatnot. So these are things that we have to plan for. Not say plan for these things, but you can also expect some of these things that would happen. Not everyone comes out to be exactly how we see them to be. That maybe we may sometimes find things about people they're like, I don't really know. But like you said, if you have the strength for it and you have the grace to go through it, maybe a lesson. Don't ignore the lesson. Don't always see any failed relationship as it's a failure. It's a waste of time. If it is a waste of time, there's something that you have to learn from that. You learn from that and you take it on when you move on, and when God finally brings you the right person, and when the right person does come. Beverly stole my Adam and Eve thing, so I'll use Isaac and Rebecca. Isaac was at home minding his own business. His father Abraham sent Elijah to go find a wife for his son. And when the first thing that he did was he stood by the well, because that's where a lot of the women came. And he prayed, and he said that, Lord, the woman that comes in, like Beverly said, he has specifics. He said, the woman that comes in and helps me draw water, that'll be the wife for Isaac. Lo and behold, Rebecca came, helped draw the water, went to the house. They kept this man there for a while. Rebecca agreed, yeah, I'll go with him. The Bible says that when Isaac saw Rebecca, Isaac was just walking by, and Rebecca was coming in the carriage and whatnot. And I just saw Rebecca, and that moment I say that was love at first sight, even though I have reservations for love at first sight, but that was... that was love at first sight. So Isaac knew in that moment that was his flesh of flesh and bone of bone. So when that person comes in, you should feel at peace. If you have no peace, my friend, run away, run the other side. Because it doesn't matter how much love that you have for that person. It doesn't matter how much like you have for that person. That person can be the most beautiful woman in the world, can sing the beautiful song, can have all the curves and all the edges that you want. It doesn't matter what anyone says, run away, because at the end of the day, it's peace that you want.
This leads us to our fourth question. Will God bring you a good woman or man?
Yes. I believe that those are some of the things that you trust God for. And, you know, for me personally, you know, based on experience and everything, you know, at one point I had to, you know, just know that and be at peace with it, that I am gonna get married to a wonderful man, and I have to believe and trust that, and believe that, you know what, as long as God is involved in it, I will be fine. So yes, definitely I will, you know, to an amazing husband.
Amen.
Okay, I have another question to this. Okay, I'm sorry, just named a lot of questions. Okay, so we'll go back to Genesis again. Genesis chapter 3. We know the story. Man falls and God comes, and Adam and Eve hides, and they cover themselves with fig leaves. And God comes and God says, Adam, where are you guys? And he said that, oh Lord, we're hiding because we thought we were naked. I mean, for we were naked. And God says, who told you we were naked? Did you eat from the tree? And Adam says that the woman that you gave me, you know, gave me from the tree and I ate. And the woman proceeded to blame the serpent. So I've heard people say that since that time, because God gave Adam Eve, and then when something went wrong, Adam blamed God for giving him Eve, because in his sense it was like Eve was the one that caused me to fall. If he hadn't given me Eve, I wouldn't have eaten from the tree. So people have said that God is not going to bring someone to your doorstep, or God is not going to drop the man from heaven, or God is not going to say, this is the person. You have to seek God, and you have to know in your heart, and you have to make that choice for yourself. I don't know what you guys think about that.
And I agree. And I'll use the 7 of Abraham to... I like how he didn't just go of his own accord to find, because I bet you there are tons of beautiful women out there who came to, you know, fetch water, who, you know, ideally will make the perfect wife for Isaac. Yet he decided to seek God. He decided to pray to God for the right woman for, you know, his master. So that tells me a lot about the importance of praying to God for a good man or woman. You know what I mean? Or if you want to use the word right, woman or man, you know, to settle down with. Because I believe marriage is a long journey filled with ups and downs. A lot of our friends are settled, and I've been praying for them like, Lord, have mercy, because it's not an easy journey. You know what I mean? And if you're not with a person who you're compatible with, and like Derek, if someone who can have a peace of mind with, what a journey that's gonna be. You know what I mean? So I feel like if you seek God, He will bring the right or good man or woman to you. That is what I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, when it comes to marriage, no matter what, I believe, you know, it has to be divinely appointed. And I will repeat this because marriage was created by God. I know right now, you know, marriage is being attacked in our society a lot. And that is one thing that, you know, we're going to really have a hard time with. But just for the fact that God created marriage, He had a reason to why He created marriage. And only Him alone knows what it takes to have a fulfilled and a beautiful marriage. So even no matter how many books that people have written, the knowledge, you know, the wisdom in that, but if God's wisdom is not there to lead and direct you, you know, with the whole marriage, and even when you're married, then I mean, there's gonna be a lot of things that you might not be able to cope with.